Hey guys, welcome to another Wildlife Overdose podcast. Today we're going to kind of go over a topic that gets overlooked, or in my opinion, it gets used the wrong way.
Yeah.
Is giving mineral to your deer, and not even just your deer, your turkeys, your wildlife in general, but your deer. Um, Everybody wants to give them their mineral right there at the beginning or just before deer season starts. But here in March, April, May is when you really need to get that mineral out there and start, giving it to those deer to better your herd.
Uh, we've we've seen that in the store. Our mineral sales spike around the 1st of September. I know they're using it as an attractant,
But
and
at
it
that
does
point, for
work.
bettering your herd, it's too late.
Yeah,
They're done 90% grown at that point on your
yeah,
bucks, and your does have already foamed. And honestly, the majority of your fawns are already weaning.
yeah. Well,
You know, so
you get into the does, and they need the mineral. They're carrying the fawns inside of them. They're producing milk, and they're feeding for two. And so, mineral source that we feed all year round. Um, Benefits the does, and we've had turkeys, we've had squirrels, we've had just about anything in the mineral itself. But like your bucks, like you said, right now they're growing horns. We just feed it all year round, just
yep,
uh, to benefit their herd health, and then the horns growth, and different, and then the fawns, and the
yep.
lactating does and different things like that.
And we use Redmond hunt products. Um, Most commonly, you'll probably see Trophy Rock and stuff is what everybody's the most familiar with.
Yeah,
They've got a whole line of products. The Trophy Rocks work great. They've got lots of minerals that the deer need. You throw it out there, and as the deer lick on it, it's just like any other mineral block. But then as it rains, it absorbs into the ground and gives them a trace mineral in the ground right there that they can access. And they've come out with some new stuff that's scented this year. Um, it's a green apple scented block. I've got a green apple scented liquid attractant that you just add like a small half a cup to your mineral rock just to add scent to it, and it adds more mineral and stuff to
yeah,
it. The new bag that they've come out with, it basically creates a trace mineral area. It works great for me in some of my spots that I backpack way in. I can fill it up with water in the creek when I get there, let it sit for a minute, add it to the ground, and create a trace mineral spot, or add it to a log or whatever, and
yeah.
not carrying a 20-pound block way back in the woods or whatever.
And that's one thing we found stumps and different things, and put where you want to put your mineral site, and they seem to, I don't know, they seem to like it a lot better. You put the rock or something up there on top of it, and the
Let it
rain, and it goes down in there,
let it leach down into the
uh,
stump or the dirt.
Kirby's got a mineral site he's had for years, and that thing is dug out underneath of it. It's an old tree stump. It's still attached in the ground, and that thing is just tore up, and a pond built around it. And
Yeah,
we've seen that on mineral sites where we even stopped putting mineral there and changed hunting spots, and go back a year later, and
they're
there'd be
still visiting it.
still, it goes into the
Yeah,
ground. And a lot of people, the misconception of just because you don't have a product laying on top of the ground, that doesn't mean that there's not any mineral in there, because it does go down in the
yeah,
soil, and stuff like that. And actually, I don't know the scientific behind it or not, but like your blocks, they say to actually bury those, and
let it dissolve
let it
into the
dissolve in the
ground.
ground. They find it. There's natural minerals in the ground in places, and you see cows licking on ground areas, or horses eating tree bark and stuff, and they're lacking something, and that's what
Yeah.
they're doing, is they're getting their mineral out. But
And deer are the exact same way. They're going to find those natural minerals where they occur. And if you add mineral, you're only helping your herd.
yeah. So
Um,
so if you are using the liquid, I mean, don't think that you don't see the product just because you don't see the product, that it isn't there.
no,
I do like the rocks that we use. It looks just like a rock, and I pour a little bit of the liquid on top of it to freshen it up, my mineral sites back up. That's what I've been using my liquid for, is just to freshen the rock back up after rains, and things like that. And the rocks and the liquid I've seen, they last a lot longer than some other minerals out there.
yeah,
I've had one rock out on a mineral site last a couple months.
yeah. And one thing I like about the rock is the deer don't seem to be skittish of it at first. You take the blocks out there, and it takes them a few days. They'll come up and walk it and smell it. Those rocks, it looks like natural rocks in
I've
there.
noticed that.
They come right up to it and start licking on it. It's not anything spooky to them like a odd shaped block sitting there and stuff. So
The granules, they have a bag of granules and everything like that. And I've got tons of pictures and video of turkeys in there eating that mineral and the little pieces and
I've had
squirrels.
I've had rats in it. I've had rabbits come up. I mean, we've seen all kinds of wildlife coming to our mineral sites.
Anything that needing that mineral and stuff. And actually, a long time ago, Redmond has so many products. They've got anything from table salt to road salt to all different things. And a long time ago, I'd actually was hauled some road salt. I thought I was in Nephi, Utah, and I hauled it to Dallas, Texas for their road salt. And I went in this mine, and after talking with the Redmond Hunt guys, I was actually in Redmond, Utah, and I was actually at the Trophy Rock plant. And that was there was only one in Utah, and that's where it's at. And it was a little bit of history on it. It was an ocean that was in saltwater basin, and it disappeared, and all the minerals and things went down into the ground, and now they're mining it out. But they do have like the sea salt stuff and things like that. So there's a lot of products out there on their site that you can use, and I've used them for years, even before they was sponsored, and that was probably the most popular mineral that I've known about for a long time. But there's a lot of benefits to the mineral and getting it out to your deer and your wildlife herd, and putting a reveal Tacticam camera on it, and you can see it that they're going to come in there and regularly. And when you first put it out, they may hit it a little bit harder the first few weeks or months, because they haven't had that mineral, and then they'll start regulating their stuff. But
and the good thing about running a camera over it is you get inventory of your herd and you kind of keep a check on them. Plus, when you see them start shying away from it, it's kind of depleted, and you can go back and up it and stuff. Now, when you set up your mineral site, where do you typically prefer to set up a mineral site?
Usually, I kind of look for just off their normal path, and then usually we usually try to set them up on the edges of our food plot, and off the path a little bit. And I guess my thinking is on it, if you get some different sized bucks coming in or does coming in, and they're cruising down through there, they got to come off that path and go to that area to get it, and that's what they're going there for. And they're not just coming across the path with other deer there and scaring them off.
Yeah.
If a kind of a bully buck wants, or a doe that's a boss doe and she wants to go in the mineral, she's going to run them off. But if it's on the path or the main eating area of the food plot, and then I want to kind of get it in a distance away from my blind or my setup that that I could have an opportunity to take an animal on that mineral site. So
yeah, I do mine a little different. I don't usually set mine up to try to shoot it. I usually set mine up. I'll set one around the edge of the food plot somewhere for the does and stuff to hit. But then I like when I find that hub area where there's multiple trails crossing and where I know buck bedding is coming out, I'll usually set it up there. And it's the same location where I like to set my mock scrapes up. And I'll normally have cameras crisscrossed where I'm catching what's traveling either direction in there. And I've showed you, I've got some really good bucks that use my mineral sites, and I've got one this year that's I'll have to have actually put a picture up on it. It's a slammer. He's got Coke can bases already, and that's just from giving him mineral for the past 4 or 5 years. And it makes a difference. I've seen we bought this property 5 years ago, and I've been using mineral on it the past 3 or 4, maybe 5 now. And just seen a huge improvement on the deer herd. And
I used to do like everybody else, and you go to Walmart or somewhere and buy. And back in the day, I think it was deer cocaine or something
Yeah.
like that everybody kind of just bought, and you put it out there a couple weeks before you were going hunting, and that's kind of the way I might have my set up on my mineral is I'm kind of using it as an attractant for a shot, but there's just so many different ways. I think the kind of the theory I wanted to say it's like uh, so many mineral spots for so many acres. You don't want too many spots of mineral.
Yeah.
You want them to come to the mineral site, and I forget the acreage. It's like in a 300 acre farm, maybe 2 mineral sites or something like that at the most. You really don't want to exceed that. And you can actually, we've done it that we set up our food plots in an area, and it may be off of where we've seen the trails of the exit, before we even took possession of it. We set our food plots up and our mineral sites and stuff, and it actually changes the deer's traveling patterns then, and you bring them to where you want them
Yeah.
on food plots and on mineral sites and things like that.
Yeah. And you have to be careful where you set them up because it's just the same. You want to be able to see it from your entrance, because if you're coming in, there's a lot of times, especially if it's in the shade or whatever, you'll have does and yearlings and stuff hanging out right there in that mineral in the middle of the day or whatever, and you'll bust deer coming in. So you want to still set it up just like with your food plot and stuff, where you can see it when you're coming in, or you're not going to affect it as you're going to your stand site.
And then your mineral too. That I mean, if you're planting food plots in the spring or fall, it kind of helps them to go to that. Or if you have a secondary feed source, if you're feeding corn or whatever you want to feed in an off hunting season time, here in Missouri you can't bait and stuff like that. So if you get your mineral away from your food plot or and your maybe some other types of feed, that it gives that food plot a little bit of time to grow and get ahead of the deer. Because we've had, I think last year we had 18 deer in a 2 acre food plot, and it was all they could do to keep up and grow without being annihilated.
Yeah, that's how my food plots have been, and mineral has helped that because they're not starving. And if I'm not mistaken, depending on your deer density and your deer herd, I'm pretty sure it's 1 mineral site per 80 acres. And if you've got a little more of a deer density, then go ahead and bump it up to 2 sites. And I've got just over 50 acres, and I'm running 2 sites on it. But like I said, I keep one at the food plot and one at the hub, because a lot of times, especially when the bucks are in bachelor groups and all that, they're not messing around those does. And if those does and eating phones and everything are up there, they won't come into the food plot. They won't come around it.
Well, it's kind of like cattle. Even I've got 5 bucks coming in right now that's starting to grow horns, and when they're a little bit more mature bucks are in there with them, the young ones aren't getting the mineral they need. And because deers are like cattle. When they start the lead bucks or whatever, they start to leave, the younger ones are going to follow them. So they're not going to stay there and just eat the mineral. They're going to follow the other bucks and a herd animal.
And the older, more dominant buck or doe, either way, they're going to push the younger ones out and get what they want first.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I mean, that's I try to stress to people the use the mineral for what it's intended, and that's to better the health of your deer herd and any wildlife, and then
not just an attractant right there during the season.
And we see that a lot in the store, and I understand what they're doing, and it's not. I mean, if one trophy rock will last you, let's just say 2 months, so you're only going to need,
3 to 6.
3 to 6 trophy
depending on how
rocks,
many mineral sites
because
you have.
it's going to go in the ground, so there's still mineral there even when your rock is gone. And we've used other even spray scents and stuff like that to freshen up your mineral site to keep them coming in there, and after rains and different things like that. Black Widow, I spray some of their apple flavoring or apple smell stuff on.
Even if you're not directly on the rock, just around the leaves and stuff to get the wind to carry it and bring them in.
Something to bring them in.
There's certain things. I mean, minerals pretty easy to establish a new spot. Main thing, make sure you're not in a flood zone, because as soon as it rains, it's going to wash all that away. And make sure you're not on a steep slope, because if you set it, all your minerals going to run downhill and spread out. Just find you, even if you're in the more mountainy areas, find you a bench or whatever, and if you have to take a shovel, dig you a little bit of a hole to where it settles. And our favorite, like I said, is either putting it on a stump or log, or kind of just digging out a little hole and letting it sink down in. That real good earthy mulch compost is great for it to sink down into. And
I actually had worked at a deer elk ranch, and it was a high fence type deal, and we did notice that some people want to use feeders and covered feeders and stuff. If you use those type, just make sure that the roof is tall enough and you can see through the feeder. We noticed that bucks, 2 and 3 year olds and up, they didn't like anything that they couldn't see through the feeder or the mineral box. They're kind of like creek feeders or whatever. You've got to be able to see through it. And then the horns and stuff like that hitting on the feeder itself, especially in velvet, you don't want them to damage them and different things like that. And then those do work great later on. You can put some chicken wire up there and deal, and have an antler when they're going to shed. You can utilize your mineral sites for catch shed antlers. Different ways to do that. And chicken wire to hog panels and different things like that. But I've used other mineral and things, and this is something Trophy Rock, Redmond Hunt Products. We can save you some money and get you a discount code, and we've got tons of footage and people just have used their products for years. And really good company to work with and for. Them guys are phenomenal.
Absolutely, and you can go on our website and find our discount codes and everything for that, and get a little discount from us, and order it straight from them. And like I said, minerals an easy way to help your deer herd. And if you got any questions, shoot us a message on Facebook or whatever, and we'll walk you through it and what our ideas are, or what products are going to help you best on your property. But guys, thank you for tuning in today and listening to us. We hope you learned something. I hope you got something out of it. And until next time, we'll see you later.
I can't wait for this fall to be at deer camp.